Hello, NPF fans, coaches alike. This is Alex again, coming back very quickly with the Week 11 recap. Still no Jeff. He's got his PC. Hopefully he's getting fixed soon, but for now, he's not here. But that does not mean that I'm alone again. Instead, with me making his recap debut, I'm joined by another fellow commissioner, Anthony of the Windy Cindy Bolt Strikers.
Hello. I know I'm not Jeff, but hopefully I'll be a good stand-in this week.
Uh, Knowing you, I'm sure you will be. If nothing else, you'll be entertaining. So again, just like the last few weeks, we only have 7 games to go over, uh, due to Jamie. Uh, so it looks like we are starting with a really, I guess, tight match between Liam and the Auckland Ambi-Poms and Rennie and the LA Darkrais. What do you think of this matchup, Anthony?
I think this game is gonna be really good. I did help Rennie prep for this match, and with Liam's newly formed kind of stall team he had going on, it was kind of a difficult prep, just for Rennie's team because Rennie has like specific sweepers that he wants to get in, but Liam now has good checks to those, so we kind of had to be smart with the sets. But I knew it was going to be a really good match. I was looking forward to this one this week, so we can just get into it.
Yeah. On Liam's side, we see Milotic, Jolteon, Deontay, Latias, Mega Sableye, and Registeel. And on Rennie's side, we see Politoed, Ludicolo. I think that was a new pickup, right? Or it's making its debut for him, right?
Yeah, it's making his debut.
Talonflame, Mega Scizor, Galvantula, and Espeon. I think, Ant, you said everything that could possibly be said, so let's just get right into it. Right, so right off the bat, they're both gonna try to U-turn or Volt Switch, I think. And yeah, that's what they do. They're just trying to keep momentum up on one another.
They both want the momentum, seeing what each other wants to do.
If there's one thing to know about Runny, it's that he loves Volt Turn.
Yeah, he loves it. Nice prediction with the magic bounce on the stealth rocks.
Yeah, uh, they're probably gonna be stuck on Liam's side unless Latias is defog, and that hasn't really been the case that often.
I don't really want to stick defog on Latias. It's not really huge value. Oh, huge thunder coming out from
Oh,
Galvantula.
the
Gonna do
choice specs.
Yeah, gonna do a ton. Choice specs compound eyes. Gonna hurt.
I don't think I've ever seen that. I'm so used to seeing like Orb or Sash so that I can be there to get up webs. The Draco miss is unfortunate, but it doesn't really. It wouldn't have done much to Scizor.
Yeah, and Scissor's gonna take out Lottie. I'm not sure why he didn't switch there, to be super honest.
Well, in the chat, it looked like Liam was gonna click like he had HP Fire and should have just clicked it to predict Scizor.
Okay, misclick. I get the crit
No,
Hydro Pump.
which, oh boy, that still did huge damage, even with the double resist. But I guess that's the rain.
I wonder if it's competitive.
Um, it might be. We didn't get to see its item.
Physical Ludicolo coming out. Really just gonna put in work right now. Oh my god.
And which you never get to see. It's so funny. Like, this thing is doing so much work right now.
+2 waterfall in the rain. Nothing really can eat that at all.
No, and all like just like that, it went from being like pretty even on both sides to Jolteon versus the world.
Yeah. Jolteon's also gonna carry Thunder. That's good prep on Liam's part for the rain.
Oh yeah, the miss is unfortunate though.
It is. It could have been. Honestly, Rennie still could have lost if he hit the thunders. But
Yeah, he could have. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure Talonflame wouldn't have been able to kill Jolteon after one Brave Bird. Pretty sure. I don't know what Banded Bravebird looks like though against Jolteon.
Yeah, I don't think it killed, but still a good game nonetheless. It
Oh,
was
for
really good prep
sure.
on both their parts.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's just that Rennie kind of forced Liam to play at his speed rather than the slow play that this team wants to do.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing with stall in league play, right? When you really have to know how to play stall because it's when you have time to prep for it, it gets really hard. So you have to know what you're doing with it, and if you let the opponent kind of determine the match at their pace, it gets really hard for anybody playing stall.
Yeah. Although I think the one big factor was I guess Liam just didn't expect Rennie to bring Ludicolo at all, let alone have, bring it in Swift Swim and actually take advantage of this little rain core he had going on.
Yeah, and be physical nonetheless, right? Usually it runs special orb, so
Yeah, or a mixed orb at least, but
yeah.
you don't ever see SD. But like you said, great prep from both guys. I'd like to see what the Milotic was. It was probably competitive, I would imagine.
Yeah, that hydro pump did I don't know, that did us
The
us a lot of
Hydro
damage, so
the Hydro Pump did a lot, and also the Bullet Seed. Yeah, it was +2 Ludicolo, but like if it was Marvel scale, I don't think that Bullet Seed would have killed the way it did.
definitely not. I don't think so.
Uh, yeah, great game for both guys. I with this game, Rennie 100% guarantees his playoff spot. He doesn't have to worry about any other shenanigans. Liam's still the division leader. It's pretty much locked in at this point. But now Rennie doesn't have to worry about winning his last week or leaving his fate into the hands of other coaches, which you don't really want to do.
Yeah, I mean both these guys are amazing battlers, so I knew they would be in the playoffs. I just hope we get to see a rematch, see what happens next time, because this was a really good match. So
On that note, let's move on to the next game. Alrighty, up next we have Anthony and the Windy City Bolt Strikers going up against Jeff and the Anaheim Appletons in a game that's definitely going to have a lot of playoffs implications. So, Ant, why don't you take us through this game real quick?
so this game was super important. I really needed this win after the tragic couple weeks I had. So this week I'm going to be bringing Zardax, Clefable, Gligar, Starmie, Breloom, and Escavalier. And Jeff's going to be bringing Thunderous Incarnate, Hoopa Unbound, Mega Sceptile, Donphan, Blastoise, and the Mawile. I did lose the first week that I played Jeff. He had really good prep. I did not prep very well. So I tried to spend a lot of time prepping just to make sure I could be able to deal with anything he wanted to bring, any kind of crazy sets he wanted to bring. And with the new Escavalier pickup, I think it'll. I was hoping that it went well because I was missing something to swap into the Mega Sceptile the first week. So I brought AV this time. So hopefully he didn't bring HP Fire. But this match was pretty tragic for Jeff, um, as you guys will see. But after running some calcs, it didn't matter too much. They look a lot. It looks a lot worse than it really was. Um,
That's good.
yeah, and I'm not gonna toot my own horn, but even if he did, the things didn't happen the way they did, I think I still would have won. But we'll just get into it.
Alrighty. With all that said, Donphan into Clef. Oh, you're
I
just
really,
betrayed rocks, huh?
yeah, I really wanted to lead Breloom, but I was just like, it's not. We can't predict first turn. So yeah, we're just gonna trade rocks. He's gonna switch into to Mawile just to take anything. And he'll
Uh,
go for the knockoff, which is pretty tragic.
yeah, losing the
Gligar,
Eviolite sucks, especially
yeah,
that
Gligar loves
early.
to have the Eviolite.
Uh, oh wow, that must just be a fully defensive Blastoise.
Yeah, 100% fully defensive Blastoise. So I'm gonna get rocks up again. He's gonna spin him away. I just want to see what his set was, just get some ideas on what it was. I'm gonna call mine as he goes back into Mawile, and then I'm gonna swap out straight into Zard as he goes for the Iron Head.
Yeah, that's you don't want to stay in on that.
I'm gonna click Flare Blitz. It's gonna do a lot. That's a fully defensive Don fan. It still did over
100%.
9%.
But
Yeah.
tough calls, man.
And then he misses the Rock Slide
Oh,
into the crit Ice Shard. That was a crit, so it wouldn't have killed, but that kind of mattered for the next time I swap in. So I'm gonna swap into
yeah.
Breloom. I'm gonna go for the sub, and then Mach Punch. Still gonna do quite a bit even with the attack drop. Um, he's gonna break the sub. I'm gonna swap back out into Gligar,
Oh,
missing the play rough. So if you want to pause it for a second.
yeah.
So I ran the calc afterward. If he hit the Rock Slide, still got the crit Ice Shard, and then hit the play rough, I would have lived on 2%.
Oh,
So
wow. I would have guessed that's a dead Gligar.
I did not die. I know this is fully defensive Gligar.
Oh, I guess that
So
makes sense.
I know it looks tragic, but Gligar would have still been alive to roost here.
Yeah.
It's still unfortunate nonetheless. Obviously,
Yeah.
missing moves is never good for just morale, but
And that living
it's
on 2% isn't a roll. That's guaranteed, right?
that was a guaranteed live on the play rough, unless he crit, obviously.
Okay, yeah. So, okay, that makes it the last few turns a bit easier to swallow. So you get your roost. Obviously, you're at more HP than you would have been, but
Yeah, and I need to keep this thing healthy just for that Hoopa.
yeah.
So I'm gonna immediately swap into
And he's
Escavalier.
HP Ice.
And he's HP Ice. So that was kind of the trade-off, right? It was like he either runs HP Fire or HP Ice. So I can deal with it either way. So
Yeah.
now I know Escavalier can swap in every time, pretty much.
Yeah. I don't think he was necessarily wrong for HP Ice just because of how much of your team is weak to Ice.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm gonna go into Breloom, get it in, because I know it can do a lot of damage when it gets in. I'm gonna take out the Mawile, which is actually a problem. It was a problem when I saw it, but I'm
Yeah.
glad it's gone.
Yeah. Mawile's a threat.
Yeah, so he's gonna still do pretty much kind of a good chunk with the Thunderbolt, even though I'm AV. I'm gonna knock off, just kind of get rid of its E-Belt.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's even. Oh, still trying to get those rocks up. I mean, I guess you got
I
to.
need the rocks up.
You
I have
do.
to have him up. He's gonna miss his Zen headbutt. Okay, now that miss did matter
That
100%.
100% mattered.
It was a 2-co. And if I didn't get that U-turn off, he would not have been in range for the signal beam.
Yeah.
So that one 100% did matter.
And then just getting the confusion on Blastoise with the signal beam is a slap in the face after Jess missed the first Zen headbutt.
I'm gonna pause it again. I was so worried he was going to swap in to Sceptile my Thunderbolt. So, because at that point I would have just lost.
Yeah.
Because Escav couldn't take 2 Dragon Pulses if he got the boost. So that's why I kept clicking Signal Beam.
Oh right, it's lightning rod, so he gets
Yeah.
he gets the attack boost, not a it's a special attack boost, yeah.
Yeah, he gets a special attack boost.
I'm
So
so used to motor drive.
I was super worried about that. That's why I kept clicking Signal Beam. If he was actually able to get off some hits on Starmie, it kind of would have been difficult for me because Starmie was really the only thing that was faster that could deal with Hoopa at this point. So that one was 100% tragic as well for him. The double
Yeah.
confusion.
Yeah, that's I'd say that's worse than the stuff that happened with. That's definitely worse than the stuff that happened with Gligar earlier.
Yeah.
And this game is so long. It does not feel like it's been 31 turns.
It doesn't. It's been going really fast.
Yeah, Sceptile comes in. He doubles back out into
Double,
Donphan. Not sure what the move was there, but
he's gonna get rocks up. I'm just gonna Ice Beam, take it out.
yeah, man. So
I'm gonna sack Gligar.
except he
goes for the Earthquake. Yep.
predicting what I assume Zard.
Yeah, I think so.
Or potentially Escavalier, maybe the Earthquake would have hit it harder since it would have been hitting neutrally, and he knows your AV.
Yeah.
Uh, so was the Iron Head just for like neutral damage on, well, not neutral, but like safe damage on anything?
I
Or would
didn't want to
Iron Head have
click.
killed?
I didn't want to click Megahorn because I was worried about missing. Um, and I really needed that Thunderous to die because it's still faster than everything except Starmie. Um, I could have clicked knockoff, but I wanted the guaranteed kill on the Hoopa, so that's kind of why I went for Ironhead. It was just kind of like the safe all across move to click in that situation.
Fair. It did a fair amount to Thunderous. The the,
And
the Paris, unfortunate, but
yeah, I don't. He doesn't really get to make use of it because I don't get paralyzed, but he's just gonna bring in Sceptile, and he will be able to take it out this turn, I believe.
probably.
Oh no, he lives.
Oh, because he went for Earthquake, of
Yeah,
course. So,
earthquake. And then I'm just gonna come and clean up with
yeah,
the Mach Punch.
yeah. So, like, the score is 4-0, and it's a very strong 4-0, but, like, if you looked at the score, it doesn't really tell the game of the battle. It doesn't tell the story of the game super well, I think.
I if this was an actual game of skill and RNG did not come into play, it would have been a lot closer. It really could have went either way. Even if I won, it probably would have been a 1 or a 2-0. So the RNG was definitely on my side. This 4-0 definitely helped me with my playoff standings. So I will definitely take it. I'm not gonna say I don't deserve it after the couple
Especially
weeks
after
I've
week
had.
9. Especially after your game against Jason and the Nine Tailors.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys didn't watch it, I got flinched like 14 times in a row. So I told Jeff this is retribution. It's kind of unfortunate that it happened during our game, but I deserve this win. But
Yeah,
it was a good game nonetheless.
for sure. I mean, and even with this loss, Jeff still isn't knocked out of playoffs.
Yeah, he still has the chance. He just has to make sure he wins his next week game.
Yeah, like as long as Jeff wins, he's his next game. Well, not as long as. There's a bunch of different factors. We'll cover that later when we get to the playoff race section, but Jeff's not out yet. Uh, this just kind of helped Anthony make that push back in.
Yeah, I definitely needed this. I was not expecting to get into playoffs this season, but this game actually kind of changed that because it actually kind of gave me a good way in.
But you know, it's a great redemption story. He got sent back to D League after the first season of 2021.
Project.
Was very dominant and had a great showing over the summer in D League. Uh, and made your way back, and hopefully back to playoffs.
Yep.
Uh, all right. With that said, let's move on to the game 3 of the week. Continuing on from our previous game, we see the other half of that division in Steven and the, as I have now just recently learned, is pronounced Sligo, not Sligo like the Pokemon. The area in Ireland that he is representing is Sligo, his Sligo Sandacondas, and Shawnee and the Z Guardian Cocos. This is going to be an interesting game. Steven has his trusty Mew, Kieran Black, Metagross, Suicune, Mega Gardevoir, and Gliscor. Whereas Shawnee has brought Salamence, who I believe up until this point hasn't actually gotten a single kill yet.
Yeah,
I'm,
it hasn't.
across him or James. Vaporeon, Fortress. Oh, I'm sorry. Shawnee has Mega Gardevoir. Steven has regular Gardevoir. Uh, but Shawnee also has Rotom Frost and Doug Trio, who does, again, have Arena Trap. It is allowed. What do you think about this game?
Even team is just really good. He has
Yeah.
a lot of tools to deal with what Shawnee has. You know, Mega Gardevoir is a huge threat, right? Like not many Mons out there can take 2 Psyshocks from it. Um, but Steven does have one, which is Metagross,
Yeah,
especially AV if he brings it. Um,
I see no reason not to.
yeah, I think especially defensive Mew could not necessarily counter it, but check it a little bit. But I think Steven definitely has the matchup in his favor.
Yeah,
But I mean, if Shawnee can do some interesting things with the sets, get some predicts off, they could definitely take it as well. I think this is a game that could also go either way, but definitely heavily in Steven's favor.
yeah, like you said, Metagross is a problem, and I actually don't really see too much on Shawnee's end that can properly handle it outside of Metagross hoping to not Metagross, Doug Trio hoping to arena trap the Metagross. But even then, Metagross is so fat that like I don't even know if a choice banded Earthquake would kill.
I think a choice ban will, but anything outside of that, I honestly don't. I think it'd be a roll, to be honest.
It probably would be. Like I wasn't huge on I wasn't really huge initially on Steven drafting 3 different psychic types, but I mean they've been working. They've been doing
Yeah,
work.
because he had the pieces around it for it to work.
Yeah,
Gliscor and Metagross especially. It just his team works really well together.
it does. Uh, all right, let's see if Shawnee can break through or if Steven is able to show why this match is in his favor. All right off the bat. Oh, I guess he was predicting a Metagross lead. Or anything that he could trap that wasn't Gliscor.
It was tragic. It was a tragic lead.
But at least he was able to swap Fortress in, eat the Earthquake.
Yeah,
Uh,
Fortune's gonna be able to eat that, and then Suicune's gonna come in.
Submense, though.
Oh man, that is scary. This is a scary situation. Ooh, Ice
Yeah,
Beam is yeah. I don't think +1 Salamence
no.
can kill.
And I don't think Mew is the right Pokemon to try to set up on in the first place.
No, not at all. Gardevoir's gonna come in, Shadow Ball, not gonna do much. That is definitely especially defensive.
It has to
Mew.
be.
We're gonna Calm Mind, really interesting. Got the Earthquake tech, which is really good because
Really good.
Mega Gardevoir has massive special defense. Abysmal defense though, so that was really cool.
Dugtrio getting the crit, but I'm not sure if that matters. I guess it just depends on if he's banned, but I'm assuming, well, that switch doesn't tell us if he's banned because you don't want to stay in on Suicune.
Seeing as Mew was specially defensive, I don't know if it mattered, but Suicune's gonna come in and be such a
Oh,
problem.
oh no.
Oh no.
Sub Suicune.
Sub toxic, what's called protect, I assume. Unbelievable.
Uh,
What a
we've
menace.
seen Scald, so yeah, Scald. This is evil.
This is a tricky situation.
Yeah, I mean, we said he didn't really have much to get through Metagross besides Doug Trio, but he doesn't really have anything to get through Suicune outside of his Rotom,
Yeah.
and
And it's really getting ran over right now by this Suicune.
yeah,
Gonna go back into Salamence, but he is gonna get the toxic off,
yeah,
so it kind of just
yeah,
neutralized anything that Salamence wants to do.
definitely wanted a clean switch in so you could sub on the Toxic.
Yeah.
But before he comes in, predicts the Scald just so it can heal Bell, save Salamence and itself. Because other than Toxic stalling, the Suicune can't touch the Vaporeon.
Yeah, Heal Bell's gonna be really good. I just wish that Shawnee would have done it sooner, so Rotom could have been in a little bit better spot, didn't
Yeah,
waste the citrus on the toxic.
yeah. I don't know. I think as long as you're going from Vaporeon, you can't really bring Salamence in on Suicune because it's only going to click
Yeah.
Toxic. Now
Gonna,
Shawnee
gonna,
gets rocks,
yeah, Stealth Rock on the Heal Bell.
which is problematic for Salamence.
It is definitely problematic. Salamence does not love having the rocks up.
Actually, neither does Rotom.
Vaporeon's gonna actually stay in and just keep clicking Scald. Kind of tragic it didn't get the burn
Yeah,
on Metagross.
yeah. He's got no reason not to.
Yeah.
Resist the Steel Stab, and if he can get a burn on Metagross, that would be huge.
Even a burn on Suicune would
Oh
be
yeah,
really
the
good to
guaranteed
neutralize the leftovers.
more than neutralize, it overwhelms them since it does the 12% in Gen 6 still.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
So
It
it's
does get the
always
burn actually.
guaranteed. It's guaranteed damage.
It will get the burn on the Suicune, which really dampens that set's usability in this match.
Oh my god.
And then we got the other sub dragon, which is sub Kyurem.
Ooh, that dog trio didn't have a chance in hell.
Did not. It got sent to another dimension. It is going to be able to break the sub though, and then Salamence is
That's
going to come
good.
in. Yeah.
Hopefully he just didn't click a dragon move, but go Gardevoir tracing the Intimidate is unfortunate, but
That, that was really good. If Steven predicted that, really good on his part.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, even if it clicked anything else, just tracing the Intimidate
Yeah.
was a really good move.
Forge is going to come in and get those rocks off the field, which is really important for that Salamence if he still wants to sweep, which I'm sure he does.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Salmon sweep is still his only hope. He's so good with these Gardevoir predictions.
I've never seen anybody use Trace better. I mean, this is a really good showing of what
Yeah,
Trace can do in the right situations.
yeah. If I'm not mistaken, he did the same thing against me in week 6, but it's getting to show out a lot more now than it did before.
Yeah, so Gardevoir's just gonna stay in and click Moonblast, take out the Rotom. Fortress is gonna come in. That's not really gonna do much. Gonna Volt Switch
No.
on the Gliscor. Not gonna be able to do anything.
Gliscor's going to taunt, which I think that was just the safest move for the
Yeah.
three things that Shawnee had left over. No reason not to. We're just going to do it again. But packing the Ice Beam.
Back in the Ice Beam, but Gliscor is gonna have the Yachi instead of the Black Sludge. Or the Toxic Orb, my bad.
Well, if he wants to run Defog, he can't run Toxic Orb.
Oh, that's true. Gen 6. These
Yeah.
weird Gen 6 things. I always forget.
Yeah. But his team but he has muted Defog, and outside of Kyurem, his team that he brought isn't bothered. We do see Vaporeon go down to a Moonblast crit, which is very unfortunate. And that was a... Was that Scar? That must have been... That was a... Yeah, a little endgame cleanup from Gardevoir. That was Scarfed.
Yeah, Scarf Gardevoir are really going to put in a lot of work for Steven. Because honestly, outside of this Gardevoir, he didn't have great answers to Vaporeon. Obviously I still don't think Shawnee would have been able to win in that situation, but if he wanted to take down a couple more Mons, he definitely could have made it closer if Vaporeon was still alive.
Yeah. But even then, Suicune made it pretty much impossible.
Yeah, yeah.
A good game to both guys. 50 turns. That was a really long game.
It was a really long game, yeah.
We were talking about stall teams before with Liam, and I'm gonna say I think the person with the good stall team, with the premier stall team, is Steven.
I have to 100% disagree. I think Steven just has a really good balanced team that can really function in a stall format with the right sets, which I think is what he did here, right? With the Suicune set,
For sure.
with the taunt Gligar, it just kind of shut everything down to let Suicune stall out the dangerous things like the Salamence and the Rotom. But I think Steven's team is honestly one of the best balanced teams in the league right now, aside from Deshawn's.
Yeah, it is, and it's super misleading looking at it on paper, like I said earlier, with the 3 different psychic types, but it really is super balanced. It's really annoying to deal with. It's very hard to break through, and most of Steven's games have been dominant, like 4-0s, 5-0s, 3-0s.
Yeah, especially with he has the Mega Charizard Y, which he didn't bring this week, but that thing is super hard to switch into because not everybody can have a Blissey or a Chansey on their team to swap
Yeah,
into it. So it's finding answers to that, and then along with his stall options that he could potentially bring, it's hard. It's hard to prep for.
yeah. I I'd be lying if I said I wasn't at least kind of curious to see him and Liam meet in the playoffs because they didn't get to play in the regular season, and I'd like to see these two play styles that they've been showing out with the teams they have right now, like how that fares against one another, or if one of them decides they need to go more offensive.
Yeah, I agree. That would honestly that would be a really good game. Looking forward to in playoffs if we do get to see it. Because both teams I believe are locked in, right?
Yeah, they're both locked in as division leaders. No one else
So
in
it
their division can take that.
we could potentially see the Liam versus Steven match, which I would be super looking forward to. I think it'd be a really good game. Um,
Yeah. Uh, I think though that's all we have to say about this one, so let's just move on to the next one. Next up, we have myself in the Greenwich Guillotinas going up against Jesse and the J-Dog Jolteons in what is going to be Jesse's final game of the season. Uh, he has his bye next week as he was originally scheduled to play Jamie. Uh, on my side, we have Hydreigon, Sylveon, Crobat, Mega Gallade, Roserade, and Gyarados. On Jesse's side, we have Mega Beedrill, Azelf, the Volcanion that's just put his team on its back and barreled its way through to success, Chestnut, Prinplup, and Florges. Uh, Anthony, you and I spoke about this game
we did have a couple
before it took
conversations about
place.
this match. Yeah.
I don't know if you remember anything you mentioned to me, but I didn't take any of your advice.
You didn't. You took none of it, which I'm actually glad. Usually I'm not when stuff like this happens, but this game in particular I am, especially with the rose race that you had going on. I would
Yeah,
like to formally apologize. It was the correct bring what you brought for Rose Raid. As you see, I did not think he would bring the chestnut. I was 100% did not think he would. So great prep on your part. I didn't think he would bring it, but Jesse did go through like a huge kind of team rebuilding from what he started with in the beginning of the season. I think he had what Mega Steelix, Zapdos.
He had Mega Steelix, he had Zapdos, um he had Empoleon, which he traded away to Allen for Haxorus, which he hasn't actually brought once. I think it was more so to help out Allen than himself.
Yeah, but he kind of had a more stall like team in the beginning, which I don't think suited his play style. So
It
he
doesn't.
kind of he kind of swapped mons around, and now he has a more almost hyper offensive balanced team going on with the Mega Beedrill and the Volcanion, which has been
And it
working
works
really well
well.
for
It
him.
works well for
Yeah,
him.
he's been making really good use of the Volcanion, which I remember in our prep, I did say to you, Volcanion, if anything is going to ruin your team, it is going to be the Volcanion because it does have all the necessary coverage moves to deal with pretty much anything you want to bring in.
Yeah. And those coverage moves combined with hidden power like electric for Gyarados, like I kind of couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's super hard to swap into.
in prep especially, like Jesse tends to favor the flame charge set. I found that if he ran choice specs Volcanion, it kind of ruined my day.
Yeah, I think I said sub also was kind of hard for you to deal with, but choice specs definitely.
Um, I will say though, I did try. I think I tried Electivire, but I don't remember how it worked out. I 100% tried specially defensive Dusknoir and prep at your suggestion, and it didn't do anything.
Yeah, I'm surprised at what Jesse decided to bring. Like looking at the rest of his roster, I really thought like Crocodile, even Haxorus, Magneton, like he had a
I
lot of
thought
good
Magneton could
options.
come. I thought Crook could come. I never thought Haxorus was coming to this because, like I said, he's never brought it. He's had it since like week 3 or 4, and it's just never come because he does Dragonite and he likes Dragonite better. And Dragonite is a bit safer to set up with because it have multi-scale. What I was very surprised didn't come was Dragonite.
Yeah, even Dragonite like didn't come. So I suggested you bring like defensive Dusknoir because you had a hard time dealing with his some of his physical threats, but you really didn't bring them, which was
Yeah.
really surprising to me.
And in my preparation, if he led with Dragonite and got off a D dance or two, And man, and if he was and like it's very specific, but like the way I see it, if I see a specific set that can ruin my day that isn't like really like obscure or niche, the odds are my opponent can see it too.
Yeah.
And I found that Dragon Dance, Weakness Policy, Dragonite, I couldn't really deal with.
I mean, most people really can't. It is a hard thing to deal with.
Yeah, I went through a lot of different iterations and sets for this team, and we're actually going to see some of them. But like, Dragonite's a real problem with multi-scale. It's just the thing. It's really broken, and that thing is super fat. I mean, granted, it can't eat a super effective hit from the stuff on my team that wants to dish them out once the multi-scale is broken, no matter what percentage they're at. But like,
Yeah, but after like a plus two plus the weakness policy proc, I mean, you do have one of the best fairy types in Gen 6 in
yeah,
Sylveon, but even that's not taking an Iron Head, right?
it
Like,
can't live. It can. Sylveon has a very slight chance to live a +2 Iron Head from full from Dragonite. Um, where it gets to do one thing afterwards, and that's if it doesn't get a flinch.
yeah.
That's the problem. Uh, but we've spoken a lot on this game. Uh, so let's go right in, see what happened. So, Sylveon and Chestnut, uh, I don't know what I thought he was going to lead with this.
Yeah, I know that. Sylveon lead is pretty curious.
I, okay, so I figured one of two things was going to happen, I guess. I figured he was going to lead Mega Beedrill and click Protect so that he could just always have it and not worry about it. Oh, you know what it was? I thought he was going to lead Azelf.
Okay, well, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Azelf usually likes to lead with rocks. It's faster than most things it wants to lead against.
Yeah,
So
I figured he was going to lead Azelf, maybe want to taunt, like do rocks or taunt, because Azelf doesn't want to take a Hyper Voice from Sylveon.
Yeah, I mean nothing really does in this generation, right? With the
Yeah.
1.25 times boost or whatever.
Yeah,
ridiculous number it is.
1.3.
Unbelievable.
It's 1.2 in later gens.
But you do bring the reflect on the Sylveon, I assume for the Dragonite.
For the Dragonite.
So reflect, looking at his team, it's not going to get a ton of use outside of Mega Beedrill and then the Chestnut, whatever kind of coverage moves they wanted to bring.
But Chestnut's not a big concern in the first place because unless he's packing like a Rock Tomb or something, Crobat switches into it every time, and as does Gyarados.
Unless he's like a crazy like belly drum sub,
which he was week 2. He was
know that.
He week 2 no, it's worse actually. He was Trick Room belly drum.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, he did get the belly drum off in the Trick Room. The only reason it didn't sweep me was because I had Sylveon out, and he predicted a switch, so instead of clicking a second Seed Bomb, he clicked Drain Punch, and Sylveon was able to live and click Hyper Voice.
Wild.
But yeah, so we see Florges come in. Sylveon just swaps right out into Roserade. I didn't even think he was going to Toxic. I was just predicting a Moonblast or something.
So, do you want to walk us through this curious little hidden power you have going on?
Yes. So, it's super effective on Florges, right? That means it's Poison or Steel. And, you know, Roserade gets Technician, which boosts Hidden Power up to base 90. Normally, if I have if I got a Florges sitting right in front of me, I just want to click Sludge Bomb, right?
Correct.
Jesse has the one Pokemon on his team that makes it so I can't do that in Chestnut.
Bulletproof, Chestnut specifically.
Yeah, Bulletproof makes it immune to Sludge Bomb, which means that it forces Roserade out every time. And I want to try to keep the amount of moves that I'm clicking that, give him a free switch um, to as few as possible. So I decided, much like how against Liam a few weeks back, where I ran Technician HP Psychic over Extrasensory because it did more damage, I brought Technician Hidden Power Poison just because of Chestnut.
Now, when you asked me about this match and I looked at that, I was like, what the hell? That doesn't make any sense. Sludge Bomb is like 5 more base damage anyways. Like, why would you do that? And when he said it was just for Chestnut, I was like, he'll never bring Chestnut. Why would he bring Chestnut? You have Sylveon, you have Crobat, you have Mega Gallade. But he does indeed bring the Chestnut. So it was really good prep on your part, just being aware of that. Like
Yeah,
sacrificing the little damage for the potential bring
yeah.
was a good decision in
The
this
real
situation.
sacrifice was not having the natural cure for because we've seen in past weeks how Jesse likes to play Prinplup with Yawn.
Yeah.
Um, so it's tragic losing that, but I made up for it, as we will see. But I get the sleep power off because I know that I can't live another Psychic. I was ready for Psychic from him. Volcanion comes in though, doesn't doesn't like that HP poison.
So that's a fully offensive Volcanion.
Yeah, and I stayed in because I know Roserade's naturally faster than Volcanion in the first place.
Nothing wants to take this hidden power poison. Not even like Azelf can take that
The
really well.
Beedrill was really the only thing that could take it. Uh, Speaking of Beedrill, he just swaps right in. In comes Crobat. He gets
Take
the Mega
pretty
off.
much anything it wants to do.
Yeah. U-turn doing nothing despite adaptability. I really, really wanted to click Piper and just be done with it, but I knew he wouldn't. I mean, I did, but I was really hoping he would just leave it in and like click knockoff or something. He gets his rocks up, clicks Yawn, forces me out because I didn't want rocks up because between Crobat and Gyarados. Get another sleep power off.
No, order of operations is really interesting in that situation. I think if he clicked the Yawn first and then click Rocks, he definitely would have had a lot more momentum with the Rose Raid coming in.
He
But
would. And
I
there
guess
we
that's a
see
little
it. And there
oversight.
we see it. Chestnut. I didn't check the calc. I don't know if that was offensive. I mean, I don't think there's any world where you don't run a max HP Chestnut, but it just dropped to that hidden power.
Yeah, I feel like the only way it would have lived if it was like specially defensive assault
Yeah.
vest or something.
Yeah. Back comes Azelf.
And we actually see physical Azolf, which is super interesting.
I mean, I think that means that Azelf was intended to deal with Sylveon and Roserade.
Yeah, which is it's good prep because outside of Beedrill, he doesn't really have much to deal with the Sylveon if it's specially
No.
defensive.
We
We do
see
see the flame charge Volcanion.
his go-to set Hydreigon though just gets to come in. It resists both its stabs. Uh, this Hydreigon was almost specially defensive, but I realized no, stupid. Just slap a choice scarf on it. You'll outspeed.
Yeah, he resists anyways. You can probably live a hit.
And like Draco probably would have killed, but I did have Earth Power because I don't like Draco missing. And down goes Volcanion, the biggest threat on his team. Um, Azelf coming in here tells me that he's Choice Scarf because I revealed that I'm Scarfed. So if Azelf comes in, that means it's an answer. Because why else would you put it? Well, he knows I'm Scarfed into Earth Power also, so he forces me out, I guess. U-turns, which was smart on his part. I was expecting a fairy move. Beedrill gets the poison jab. U-turns again. Back out into Azelf, who dies to a U-turn.
We see this 6-0.
Um,
I don't remember what happened. Shrimplup is still asleep, gonna do absolutely
which
nothing.
is awesome because I think if that thing had scald, that would have killed my Crobat, and I wouldn't have liked that because of the Beedrill. But he just clicks Yawn, forces me out again into Rose Raid. He sets up rocks. He knows that Crobat can't do like is my answer to Beedrill, and he knows those rocks are a big problem for me. Uh, I think what I should have done here is I should have. No, that's the right play. That was the right play. Getting the sleep powder. Yeah, so I swap into Crobat. I think what I should have done here is I should have clicked Roost or Defog. I don't know. I don't remember what I do. I went for Brave Bird like an idiot. So
No, I don't think that was a bad
not
play
Defog.
because
I should have clicked Roost, and you'll see why.
to save the okay.
To save the differential.
Yeah. Yeah, Bruce would have been the safe play there.
Yeah. Deshawn, who it's no secret that I team build a lot with, he was very mad at me because he was like, "You knew. You should have preserved it." And I was just thinking, I don't know. I thought Poison Jab was just going to do a little bit less for whatever reason. I didn't think it was going to bring me down to 24%. I would have liked to have had the 6 though.
I think that would have been really nice. You're still didn't matter for you. You're still doing really well in this season.
Yeah,
So
I'm
you're
still
still in playoffs.
I'm still in playoffs. I'm still a division leader. I'm still sitting in the first seed. Although that first seed is gone the moment I lose again.
Yeah, there is a really big fight happening for the first seed
Yeah,
right now.
because the two guys below me who are sitting at 2 losses have higher differential than I do.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm prepping hard because I want to keep the first seed. Gyarados didn't get to come in and do anything, which was unfortunate.
What was the Gyarados at?
It was Dragon Dance,
Okay.
but instead of Moxie, it was Intimidate so that it could switch into Dragonite.
Makes sense.
At one point, I was actually running Thunder Wave on it so that it could come in, paralyze it, and slow it down so that I could outspeed it with things.
Yeah, but I think I told you that was kind of reductive, seeing as you already had sleep powder.
Yeah, and I also wound up replacing it because I was thinking, well, if Dragonite is who Gyarados ends up setting up on, I want to be able to actually hit it with a not resisted move.
Yeah.
So I went to Ice Fang. And Galley didn't get to hit the field either. The game was just carried by really Hydreigon, Crobat, and Roserade.
Honestly, just Roserade and Crobat. I
Yeah.
mean, you swapped into Sylveon like twice.
Yeah.
But what Roserade and Crobat really carried this game for you.
Yeah, I never hated Roserade. I was never huge on Roserade. I thought it was fine, but it was never something I really liked using, and it's no secret, maybe it is, that Liam sniped me during the draft with Mega Venusaur, and I wanted to pick Mega Venusaur. So I picked the next best thing, which was Roserade. I mean, it's different than Venusaur because it's not bulky, and I could have picked regular Venusaur, but I think I was
even regular Venusaur, nothing really does what Mega Venusaur does, right? Like
No.
Mega Venusaur is Mega Venusaur. There's not really one-to-one swap, but Roserade is good in what it does. It still gets the sleep powder. It can still swap into things, do a lot of damage.
Yeah, and it hits. It's faster than Venusaur. It hits harder than regular Venusaur. It hits harder than Mega Venusaur actually too.
Yeah, and you've been making a lot of good use with it. So
yeah, I've gotten a newfound appreciation for Roserade this season. I've been very pleased with it. It doesn't come all the time, but when it comes, it usually does something good.
Yeah.
That was a good game, Jesse. I know you wanted to go out on a win, and I do think that if you beat me, there was still a chance at playoffs, but you know,
next season.
Yeah, next season. There's also no guarantee that I'm winning playoffs. So I want to celebrate. I want to celebrate something and keeping first seed. I can't say I was undefeated, but if I keep first seed for this season, I'll be very happy.
Take the wins where it counts.
Yeah. Speaking of taking wins where it counts, that is a perfect segue into our next game. Going from a battle of ego and a chance to making playoffs to quite literally possibly the game that mattered most this week, being between Eric and the East Coast Iga Slashers and Allen and the Manila Metals. These two weren't fighting for playoff glory, though. They were fighting to see who went to D League. Uh,
I think this is one of like the tragic cases, actually two tragic cases of having really great drafts, but really not being able to make the most of it. I think we rated these two teams pretty high when the commissioners did the rating.
we rated Eric's team very high for sure. I wasn't a big fan of Allen's team myself.
Yeah, Allen's team like has like he has one of the best regenerator cores in the game, right? He has Slowbro Tangros.
Yeah,
Like what more could you ask for? He
and
has
he has that with
Lando.
Landorus. He had hack
Like
he had Haxorus, but he traded it off so that he could have a bit more bulk and more reliable removal in Empoleon, because initially his only hazard removal was Rapid Spin from Armaldo.
yeah, I would say like the only thing his team's missing is like a really strong offensive presence because like outside of Chandelure and Thunderous
Yeah,
Theron, he doesn't really have much because Mega Absol really doesn't like it doesn't come in and just kill things, right? Like
no.
it can sweep, but it's not really going to come in and wall break. But Eric's team, I think his team is honestly one of the best in the leagues right now. He
It
has
is. It is.
Mega Diancie, he has Scissor, Rotom Wash, Amoonguss, like really good team. But just hasn't been able to make great use of it.
That's just been the problem with how stacked this season's been.
Yeah, I mean, no matter how good your roster is, it always comes down to the person using it. And I'm not saying that Eric is a bad battler at all, but
No, he's not.
sometimes the roster doesn't really fit the person's playstyle. Even with mine, I have a great roster. I don't know. It just has not been clicking for me.
Yeah.
And it's just like my playstyle. I like a really balanced, almost more stall-like team, and mine kind of hovers more on offensive, which is like it's kind of hard for me to make use of. So
Yeah, like I lucked into having a team that fits my play style, but like, you have Clefable, one of the best Pokemon in Gen 6. I was lucky enough to use Clefable over Sylveon just because I had the option to in one of our previous seasons. It was our double season. Although I do think Clefable has more utility in doubles than Sylveon just because it had Life Dew in Gen 8. Clefable didn't do anything for me because it doesn't suit my play style.
yeah,
I mean, it did take me from like it was like a 3 or a 6-0 game that I lost to like single-handedly taking down my opponent's entire team. But that was the only thing it did. Because for me, Clefable's too passive.
yeah. And for me, I just don't think I have enough tools surrounding Clefable to like make a good balanced use out of it. But I don't know what the situation is for these two coaches. They're still great battlers, right?
Yeah.
They're in main league for a reason, but
Yeah.
this season just hasn't been their best.
Yeah. And I mean, we're at a point now, we're going to D League. It's not like the punishment it used to be.
Yeah.
Like, yes, there are plenty of people in D League who are, who are there to learn, and that's what we have D League for. We want people to learn and have fun and really get used to playing in this kind of format. But also just by virtue of more people being aware of us, we have a lot of people who could easily slot perfectly into the main league, starting off in D League and making some really fierce competition.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh, we went through well, you went through Eric's team. On Alan's side, we do have Slowbro, Kabalion, Chandelure, Thunderous, Therian, Snorlax, and Landorus Therian. Man, Kabalion's not really the offensive presence it should be either, huh?
No, Cobalion really, I don't love Cobalion.
I
I'm gonna
don't
be super
either.
honest.
Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, the only one of them that I really like is Terrakion in the first place.
Love Terrakion, but like Cobalion, even with the Swords Dance up, it really isn't doing what it needs to do or what it should do.
Yeah. And for me, Chandelure is just too slow to be that really big offensive threat that he wants it to be and has been really trying to make it be this season.
I think if Alan kind of had a couple more like super offensive wall breakers, his team would have been golden. But
Yeah,
he's just been having a hard time making use of the offensive mods
yeah,
that he has.
I think his team was hurt by in that trade to Jesse that they were really trying to boost his defensive capabilities by trading away Haxorus. And as we saw, Jesse filled the Empoleon void by picking up Prinplup. I think Allen probably could have picked up Prinplup instead.
Yeah.
Uh,
Looking at the teams off the bat, I think that Mega Diancie is really scary.
yeah,
He didn't bring the Tangrowth, which I understand, right? He has a Moongus,
he's
Scissor,
got
and
Scizor.
Mamoswine, right? Like it really gets countered by almost everything else, but
Yeah,
Mega Diancie is going to be rough to deal with.
yeah, like I don't know. I actually don't really, short of like a Scarfed Landorus, I don't really see what's going to deal with that Diancie. Well, Cobalion could Iron Head it into Oblivion.
Well, I mean, like especially defensive Slowbro,
Yeah,
right? But like outside of that, you really having all the weight on one Pokemon to deal with that is it's hard.
yeah. All right. Well, let's see if Allen can pull it off. Let's see if Eric is saving himself from D League. Although I did speak to him before this game, and while he's been really down on himself in this team, right before the game he pulled himself out of the mindset of like, oh, I don't want to go to D League, being like, you know what, it's not going to be as bad as it could be. D League has a lot of good players, so it's not the end of the world if I go. But that said, he still wanted to stay. So let's see which of these guys can pull through.
I do
Snorlax
see this
and Mamoswine.
and Mamoswine. Mamoswine just gonna get a Brock. Snorlax gonna go for the Curse. Curselax does put in a lot of work against this team.
And we've seen in a lot of weeks, it destroyed James and Mega Gyarados. It's been his main offensive threat. Getting the burn is huge, though, for Snorlax.
Unless he is Rest Talk, which I'm not sure if he is yet.
Yeah, uncertain. I mean, surely he's got to be rest though, because he just keeps staying in, right?
Like there's a reason you stay in and just keep clicking Curse.
Unless he just doesn't have anything that wants to stay in on the Spiritomb.
Yeah, I mean you can't really swap in Chandelier.
Or
You don't really want
Slowbro.
anything else to take a burn. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't have Cavalli and Orlando taking the burns. But now we're at a +6, and that's really scary.
There comes the rest. Yeah,
He does reveal the rest.
He's gonna do 2%. He's gonna get the rest off. Now this is a really scary situation.
But he's not Rest Talk. And now
He's not Rest Talk.
He was
Now
Chople.
Yep.
And he was Chople Berry instead of Citrus, but he's tricked into whatever. The thing is, he's tricked into whatever move he picks now. He's choice
after the Scarf.
So now he's not much wants to live that. I guess sacking that was the right play. I disagree with this Amoonguss switch.
I agree. I think this is the weird
I think
switch.
Rotom is 100% what he needed to go into.
Well, I think even Diancie would have killed if it Mega'd and clicked Moonblast.
Yeah, but like if hard switching in on an Iron Head and waking up.
Oh yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Like the Rotom would have at least resisted it. So Mammo kind of like losing Mammo this early really hurts for Eric because it put a lot of pressure on Lando and Thundy.
Especially with the Ice Shard.
Yeah.
Even Earthquake's doing a lot to Slowbro.
But gets the Ancient, protects on the Swords Dance, but I think we just found our answer about Cobalion.
Really just so underwhelming.
And doesn't it have it has really high special defense, doesn't it? Or is that Virizion?
I think Cobalion has better defense.
That's what it is. It's better, but its defenses are better than its offenses, I think.
Yeah, I think it doesn't have over 100 base attack, which is so tragic.
Yeah. It's got a good speed tier, but it's still slower than Diancie, but I mean, realistically, all he could kind of do was click Swords Dance there.
See, I don't know about the Swords Dance play, right? Because you're not faster, right? Unless you're... Because I don't think he... I think we knew he wasn't Scarf, right? Because he brought it in before. Like, I think you just go for the Iron Head and then yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know about the Swords Dance. I think that was a weird play.
I mean, I just say at least it wasn't a wasted turn necessarily.
Yeah.
I just because I wouldn't have wanted to swap in Landorus or Thunderous or even Slowbro.
Yeah, that's true. He does still need Slowbro for Scizor. Scizor it,
Yeah, I that might have been his only play because he needed like everything.
yeah.
We see the Lando come in, intimidate, take the rocks damage. He's fearing that Scarfed Earthquake, but he brought Iron Tail, which missed on the Amoonguss switch in.
But did but did an Earthquake I wonder if an Earthquake didn't kill and that's why he had Iron Tail.
Um, I want to believe Earthquake kills.
But like even it's not doing that much to a Rotom, right? Like I just don't know why you click Iron Tail in that situation and not Earthquake.
Yeah, I mean, he must have. I mean, there's a reason for it. Maybe he did calc and he found that it didn't kill, or maybe he thought it was safer than the Rotom. But I still think,
I still think Earthquake was the play there, and if Rotom comes in, you just swap out.
yeah, and then go into Thunderous.
Yeah, you can just go Thunderous on it.
Or, well, we don't need to debate that further. But Chandelure comes in on the well, they both double out into the and he's able to get a sub off on the Scizor switch. Gets the
It's gonna be
Calm
sub
Mind.
Calm Mind, but Mega Diancie is gonna be faster.
And it also usually packs Diamond Storm, so the Calm Mind doesn't matter in the first place.
Amoonga is just gonna be a menace.
Yeah, I don't.
Just do what it does best.
Amoonguss probably solos. Well, okay, Psychic,
Yeah, outside of the Psychic or the HP Ice.
and that HP, his own HPS didn't do a whole lot. The Incinerate's a great break. Jeez,
Yeah.
great way to circumvent not running HP. Did we see that it was HP? No, it wasn't hidden
We
power
didn't
even.
see, yeah, we didn't see an HP, but I just wish he would have brought Thunderous in sooner because it really put in a lot of work when it came in.
Yeah, it did. And Slowbro just going down doesn't get to do anything. It didn't even get to click a move, the poor thing.
And didn't do anything the whole game. We are gonna see the Earthquake finally, but
Another Spore.
Amoonga's just gonna Spore and kind of
Just-
solidify the win.
It's just gonna click HP Ice. It doesn't go down though. Kind of shocking, but I guess he's bulky. He's not an offensive Amoonguss. I mean, that's a good game. It wasn't a blowout. Uh, Allen did put pressure on Eric. It wasn't an overwhelming win. I mean, he still had Diancie in the back, but like everything else was just defensive, whereas Allen had offensive things and Slowbro. With the win, though, Eric is officially staying in main league, and Allen, he can't come back from it. There's only 1 week left. He's going down to D League. If he chooses to stay, unless he wants to take a break, come back later. But if he does come back, he would be going back to D League.
Someone who came from D League, I'm gonna be real honest. It was a good experience, right? Like I had it. It kind of like shifted my mindset. I had a lot of fun. It kind of brought back the fun into competitive Pokemon battling, and it was refreshing coming back in from D League with a renewed mindset about battling after my
Oh, I bet. Plus, like, I've looked at the way they draft and, like, not having to do a points-based system and just being like, okay, you get a Mega and then 2 things from each tier. That's got to be so much less stressful.
No, it's 100% less stressful. It's so much more fun, right? Like it's a different experience, but it's a good experience. It's a good refreshing experience. So
Yeah. And because you're with other people who are learning, it gives you more freedom to try to do some things outside of your comfort zone, I think.
yeah, because we're all still learning, right? Like even I learned a lot. I definitely learned not to draft Darmanitan and click icicle crashes that miss every time you click it. So it was good.
Yeah. So, and Alan, you'll come back to main league, you know. I'm dreading the day when the entire Goon Squad is in main league.
It's gonna just be tragic.
Yeah. Uh, but if you want to see how that's going out though, and see who may or may not have a shot at coming to main league next season, definitely check out the D League recaps that Nate's been doing. He's been doing a really good job running D League and staying on top of everything, and also churning out those recaps very regularly.
Yeah, Nate is honestly, I'm his number one fan. He's doing a great job with D League, with doing the recaps. He's soloing that stuff too, so really good for him. Great content coming out from the recap, so definitely check that out as well.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess that's all we have to say for our big D League plug. Go look at our up and comers. If we have anybody who's watching that is interested in joining, D League's the way to do it. We do have one person who has put themselves on the D League list based on interacting through our YouTube comment section.
We really? That's actually awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, it's somebody who knows who's connected to somebody else in main league, but they didn't try to get in by talking to the person that they know in main league. They were just like, "How can I join this while watching one of our recaps?"
That's awesome. That makes me happy.
Yeah. So hopefully that person does well next season. I want that for them. Alrighty. Next up, we have Deshaun and the Bridgeport Sandacondas going up against Gavino, Rennie's baby daddy, and the Venice Beach Victinis. I don't know if this game had much importance for Gav by now. He may have already saved himself from D-League. I think he'd already saved himself from D-League. But knowing these two, for me, I think this is probably going to be the most comical and entertaining game.
Definitely going to be a fun one to watch. Coming from Gav, who almost got sent, who was in the running to get sent to D-League, and then Deshaun, who has had a great showing this season, has one of the best teams in the league right now. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah. On Deshaun's side, we have Ryko, Arcanine, Skarmory, Blissey. God, I can't believe that team, that defensive court. Mega Metacham and Zygarde. And on Gav's side, we have Jirachi, Dragalge, Dusclops, Seismitoad, Zapdos, and Diggersby.
Gav's team definitely unconventional, but it definitely can do a lot. Dusknoir, Aviolite Dusknoir is kind of Dusclops, my bad. It's definitely hard to deal with if you don't have knockoff. It is super fat, super hard to deal with. And Seismitoad in this generation, really good.
Yeah.
Gives the Zapdos and then kind of fills it in with the offensive Diggersby and
yeah.
Jirachi.
I mean, get rid of Skarmory and Diggersby just kind of clears through this team.
It's true, yeah. As long as Skarmory is gone, Diggersby just comes in and clicks Earthquake and things die pretty much.
Yeah, like the only thing that doesn't is like Zygarde, and it's gonna get 2-hit KO probably.
Yeah.
It's like Diggersby's a threat, and Gav's been using it really well.
He has. He definitely has.
All right, let's see what these two have in store for us. Deshaun doesn't want to waste any time, apparently.
Diggersby staying in, so probably going to be Scarred, which I think Deshaun picked up on. Diggersby just going to go for the return, do abysmal damage to the Skarmory that has the Rocky Helmet, so it's going to get some nice chip.
But Jirachi coming in and dodging the Toxic's really good.
Yeah, dodge the Toxic, and you turn off on the Arcanine that comes in. Straight into Seismitoad. Arcanine going to stay in. Questionable decision, to be super honest. But I guess Deshaun predicted the rocks.
He predicted the rocks are toxic, and I think he knows that he needs to put a timer on Seismitoad.
Yeah, Seismitoad is definitely hard. It's just definitely a threat for Deshaun.
We'll see.
We see the spikes come out.
Yeah. We finally see a Scaldburn today. Oh man.
We're gonna see the hazard stacking.
I hope for Gav's sake that he brought Defog on Zapdos.
We're gonna hope so, because if he doesn't get those hazards off the field, it's gonna be hard. It's a hard match for him to win.
Oh. just barely living that seismic toss. If Deshaun had gotten the second layer of spikes up, that would have been game over. And that knockoff earlier on Skarmory just saved Diggersby.
But it's gonna swap out, and if he doesn't get the hazards cleared, it's gonna die next time it swaps in.
Yeah, so that might have been a better. That's a better move than Defog.
That was a good. I'm curious why there's no electric. Well, no, he does have
Zygarde.
the Zygarde and the Raikou. So
I do think if that was a Thunderbolt, though, Skarmory wouldn't have been around anymore.
yeah, it definitely would have been the ground. No defog, so I guess it doesn't have it.
Must
which
be
is
offensive.
really going to be tragic for Gav with this one layer of spikes in the rocks.
Shoot up that Iron Head, but I guess that makes sense. Gav show. I can't tell if Gav's choice or if he's just trying to get that flinch off, which
Yeah, I think he was just.
he
I
doesn't
think he was
get
riding
it.
on the flinch. Yeah, he doesn't get it.
He doesn't get it. Just goes down to a flamethrower. Gav clicking Scald here. Did we see the whole? Have we seen all of Size? Oh, he's Earthquake. That's actually a lot better. I was wondering if he would be Earth Power for Raikou, but having Earthquake is really good because it'll do more to
Really
Raikou.
good here. Arcanine could be able to kind of really threaten this this Seismitoad with the Toxic Stall.
Yeah, I think we've seen the most consistent Arcanine set that Deshaun has brought has been Toxic Stall. Like, I think week 1 against Allen, he Toxic Stalled Slowbro with Arcanine.
Which is, it's really just an oxymoron, huh?
Yeah.
We see the hidden power, probably HP Ice.
I would assume so for the Zygarde. Predicting the switch for the Thunder. Oh, that is just a fully offensive Zapdos. We get the confirmation that it's not, doesn't have Defog. It did have Thunderbolt.
But with Diggersby not being able to come back in, because the hazards, this Blissey is just gonna be able to stall out everything else on his team.
Yeah, like it gets to just Toxic Stall. Dusclops, he has no reason to switch out and cure the paralysis because now Dusclops couldn't status it. And Rennie's baby daddy, Gavino, recognized that and just forfeit and gave Blissey 3 kills.
I mean, sometimes you gotta recognize when you're fighting a losing battle, you know?
Yeah. And this was also late. Well, not for Gavino. It was late for Deshaun. He probably didn't want to waste Deshaun's time.
Yeah.
But Deshaun coming in with a nice 6-3 victory. Definitely padding out that differential, making sure that if I want to stay number 1 seed, I have to beat James.
Yeah, the 6-0 was kind of pretty tragic for you, huh? Because now you definitely have to win.
Yeah.
To stay in the first seed.
Yeah. Although Steven was going to make that pretty impossible for me, too.
Yeah.
But... And Gavino finally got stopped, the monster that he is when he's in danger of going to D-League.
Yeah, Gav's pretty consistent in losing the first half of a season and then picking himself back up by the bootstraps and then just not being sent to D-League. That's pretty consistent throughout the seasons. So he's going to stay around for the next season, and we'll see if it happens again.
I would like to see another playoffs run for him. I think I've only seen him make playoffs once in my time being here. I know he's made them before. But he has doubled down on the strategies that he was doing the first time I got to play him, which was bringing mostly the same things. And now it's turned into, I think, a meme for him that I think he's intentionally doubled down on it.
Yeah, it's a good storyline. You know what I mean? The redemption arc. Everyone loves a redemption arc.
Yeah. All right. Not much else to say about that. Let's move on to our final game of the week. Alrighty, everyone. We are finally at our last game of the season, pitting Jason and the Niflheim Ninetailers. I said this in the previous recap, but I have to say that one slowly, or I'm going to stumble over my words, or I'm going to say the wrong thing.
It's a little tongue twister.
Yeah. against Chris and the Nottingham Nihiligos. I'm pretty sure I'm the only person that says that Pokemon's name like that, but the Pokemon's name is the combination of the words nihilistic and ego. It's Nihiligo.
I don't
Semantics
think
aside.
it's not as fun as saying it the regular way. Nihilgo just sounds so much better. It just rolls off the tongue. You know what I mean?
I guess. I do have to think to say the word Nile. On Jason's side, we see Raichu, Slowking, Nidoking. We've got the King Core, Togekiss, Mega Lopunny, and Ferrothorn. Whereas Chris has brought Klefki, Garchomp, Rotom Heat, Mega Alakazam. I know that's Mandibuzz this week. And Conkeldurr. If we were going back to week 2, I would have said Jason didn't have a snowball's chance in hell and that Chris was taking this because Chris has had strong showings in the past. But this season's been a bit of a different beast for him, whereas Jason's had quite the come up in the last few weeks, really showing a dominance that we did not see in the beginning of this season.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, I hope Jason loses just just out of spite for what happened to me in our match. But I think Chris is definitely familiar with a lot of these mons he's been using. He
Yeah.
tends to draft the mons he's comfortable with, like the Garchomp. He does make really good use of the Conkeldurr. He has a great defensive core in the Mandibuzz and the Rotom Heat, and then Mega Alakazam's always a threat. So his
Yeah.
team definitely looks really good
Yeah.
matching up against
Yeah,
Jason's.
like Mega Alakazam is a massive threat for Jason's team.
It is. It's definitely a menace, but Jason has the Nidoking, which if it comes in, it really could do a lot. And the Mega Lopunny, of course. He doesn't really have
Yeah,
much to take high jump kicks outside of
Alakazam.
yeah, and Rotom Heat doesn't even want to take it unless it gets a Will-O-Wisp off. So
Yeah, I mean, we saw in week 2 that Klefki got obliterated before it could do anything by switching into a high jump kick from Mega Lopunny.
yeah, Klefki, nothing really wants to take high jump kicks from a Mega Lopunny.
Maybe that isn't the case, though. Let's see. All right, Raichu and Mandibuzz starting strong. Clicking the knockoff to get rid of that recovery, revealing that it's Life Orb.
So questionable on the like. I don't know why would you stay in on a Raichu as a
I
Mandibuzz.
mean, he
I
clicked
think that's super
Roost. He
questionable.
probably knew that he probably knew he would live a Volt Switch or whatever, and that's why he clicked Roost.
Well, we are going to see the Mega Lopunny come out against the Klefki, who is Rocky Helmet, so it's going to be some nice chip damage on the Mega Lopunny.
Yeah, and I think at that range, it had to switch. And showing off that it's Psychic for the Nidoking, that's great prep. Hits Lopunny and Nidoking really well.
So Great Pep is the physical poison jab coming
Yeah,
out
this is
to
awesome.
deal with the Mandibuzz, yeah.
Chris finally brought Defog. I mean, I'm sure he's brought Defog in other weeks, but I see it so infrequently. Your team needs it, Chris. I'm so glad you brought Defog. Oh, tracing the sheer force is so good, but it doesn't even matter.
But the sucker punch. This Nidoking was honestly great prep all around.
It was. Um, we see the burn go off, so his guts conk. That's kind of a problem for Jason. Although most of his team outspeeds that conk.
Once it comes in and clicks something, it does a lot of damage, if not just
Yeah,
outright kills.
yeah, it'll kill something. And nothing's gonna. You don't want to hard switch anything into that.
Yeah. High jump kick doing a clean, crispy 60%.
Yeah, I think that must be physically defensive because we have seen in the past that it did more, although it may have only done more because it was a crit. But bringing the Akaberry was very smart.
With
As was
HP Fire, though, which is
they're
super
both smart.
prep. Yeah.
That is not the way I imagine Jason was imagining his Akaberry working. The full para was unfortunate, but getting a layer of spikes is great, as is Neoking setting up rocks. Man, physical Neoking is so good.
It's really good in this match specifically.
Yeah. I think maybe a special move might have been better against Conk, but you know, AV Conk is pretty common.
Yeah. Toge's gonna come in just air slash the conk into next week, and then Klefki's gonna come in, probably click. Yeah, Thunder Wave just gonna come out.
Make sure trying to hope that Togekiss and Lopunny are both slower than Garchomp.
Garchomp gonna just start clicking Stone Edges, and we're gonna. I think he's just hoping for the paras.
He must be like. Is that a physically defensive Slowking, or would Stone Edge just do that little in the first place?
I think he's doing that little in the first place.
I get, yeah, it's not stab, and Stone Edge is what, only like 100 base power?
Yeah. I think it's 80 actually.
Oh, no, it's 80 accuracy.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But Togekiss comes in, lives a Stone Edge, it just hard swaps. It doesn't even do anything, and just Garchomp goes down to poison.
That played a lot closer than I expected it to be after that Alakazam went down. Because if that Alakazam was, if Nidoking didn't have Sucker Punch, this would have been a totally different game.
Yeah.
Like sheer force, Alakazam,
Yeah, that
clicking
ran
Psychic,
train.
like
that ran train on everything Jason had. Jason didn't have anything to outspeed it.
outside of a Scarfmon, which I'm not sure.
I don't think
brought a Scarf this
he
week.
didn't. His Togekiss was leftovers. We saw that Raichu was Life Orb. Nidoking was Life Orb. Slowking was Slowking, and Ferrothorn was an Akaberry.
Yeah. So that Sucker Punch really actually saved him the game, to be honest.
Yeah, it did. Which was incredible prep on Jason's end. Good game to both of you guys. I think this game, barring anything really weird happening in Week 12, also clinched Jason for playoffs as in a wildcard slot. Because he is at a 6-5 record now.
Yeah, he did pick up some big wins the past couple weeks that put him ahead.
Yeah, and his differential is high enough that anybody below him can't really overtake him. So, congrats, Jason. You needed to win this one to clinch playoffs, and you did. Good job. Chris, you'll come back next season, probably. I mean, that's the attitude he's been having, and that's the right attitude to have.
As long as you look at D League as a refresher and not a punishment, you'll come back.
Yeah. But luckily, neither of these guys are going. So
yeah,
they still have a shot. Well, not a shot. They still have next season. Next season's a whole different story. But with that wraps up our coverage of the games. Let's move in to some information and statistics going on about the league right now. All right, now let's take a look at our playoff standings. There's actually going to be quite a bit to talk about this week as we are entering the final week. We do have a lot of coaches who are hoping to make playoffs. We do have games that still matter. There isn't a single seed here that can change, except for I think only one of these is guaranteed locked in. And we'll go over that. Sitting at up top, our division leaders, you have myself, the Greenwich Girautinas, sitting at the first seed, just by virtue of the fact that I've only dropped one game. If I was on the same record as the next two, I would not be in the first place because they have better differential than I do. Right behind me is Deshaun, the Bridgeport Sandacondas, Division 2. Tied with our Division 3rd, with our third division, Steven, the Sligo Sandacondas. They have the same record. Deshaun's differential is just slightly higher. But I think that could possibly change in Week 12. It just depends on how both their games go. I think they both need to play out for differential. I don't know how much Steven cares about his seeding or not, or how much he's paying attention to this bit. But, always want to show out, like, these top four. Like I said, we're all locked in the playoffs. Speaking of number 4, we have Liam and the Auckland Ambipoms. I believe Liam's the only person whose seed of our 8 playoff spots is locked in. He is sitting at 8-3, so he has taken more losses than anybody else, and his differential is lower than the others. Where if the three above him lose, they're probably still sitting above him. Now for our wild cards, and this is where there's a lot to start talking about. At number one, we have Rennie and the LA Dark Rise. No surprise that he's leading the wild cards. Um, it's Rennie. He's what, a four-time champion?
Yeah, 4 going on 5 if he wins this season.
Yeah, like nobody else has that. You know, it's no surprise. Uh, Below him, the comeback story of the season really is Jason and the Niflheim Nine Tailors. Went from being towards D-League consideration again to being a lock for playoffs. Maybe not in the wild card 2 slot, but he is 100% going to playoffs. You can't help but feel good for him about that. Below him, right now, is you, Anthony, with your Windy City Bolt Strikers sitting at wild card 3. You've had a good string of wins the last few weeks, and those have pushed you forward.
I don't know how it happened. I was not expecting to make playoffs, but I think that the games I did lose, I just didn't have a huge differential loss, so I'm sitting at a pretty good differential.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the only thing that saved me because I did have some awful losses this season, but I've been picking it up in the last couple weeks. I'm not mad at being in playoffs, but I just definitely wasn't expecting it. But I'm pretty sure I can still make it out, right? If a couple of things happen.
Yeah, and we'll get into that, actually. Right below you, wild card 4 is the Z Guardian Coco's Shawnee taking over for James's, who decided, he needed to just step away from Pokemon, focus on other things. Yes, Shawnee inherited a good team with a decent record, but even if he started out fresh or if James had left earlier in the season, I still think Shawnee would be in playoff contention regardless. He's been division leader in past seasons. Honestly, I think he'd be higher up if he had drafted his own team.
Yeah, I agree.
There is an error on the doc. The Nottingham Nihiligos. All right, last but not least, we have our final matchups, divisional and seasonal for season 15. These are the rematches from week 3. There's a lot riding on a lot of these games. Some games don't matter at all. But let's see what we're looking at. First off, we have the Victinis, Gav versus the Metals and Alan. I think of all the games that are being played, this is the one that matters the least this week. I think this is the only game that doesn't matter, actually. Like, there's no implication. This is the only one that doesn't have implications to playoffs in some regard or D-League. I would like to see Alan get the win just to end on a high note, though. Next up, we have Eric and the East Coast Ice Slashers going up against Deshaun and the Bridgeport Sandacondas. Eric doesn't really have to do much because he knows he's not in playoffs, but he's also not going to D-League. But a win over Deshaun could change up the seeding order for the playoffs, possibly put Deshaun in the 3rd seed instead of the 2nd seed. Next is the Ambipoms versus the Nine Tailors. This is probably the game with the second least amount of stakes. Liam's seed is locked in no matter what, but if Jason does overtake him, he could become the number 1 wildcard seed if Rennie does lose. But this will definitely be an interesting game to see, considering how well Jason's been doing as of late and how different Liam's team is now. Next up, one of the games that has the most playoff implication is myself and the Giratinas versus James and the Myrtle Magic Carps. My seeding changes if I lose this. I'll drop to number 3. But James has to beat me, more importantly, if he wants to make the playoffs. If he wants a chance at playoffs, he has to beat me. So I hope he does some crazy ass shit here. Next, we can skip. It's just Jesse getting a forfeit win over the Rillaboomers. Second to last is the game with the most stakes. Straight up, game with the most stakes is Shawnee and the Z Guardian Cocos going against Jeff and the Anaheim Appletons. Whoever wins this is in playoffs. Well, that's actually not true. I messed that up earlier. There is one way that that these two teams neither goes to playoffs. That's if you win and if James wins and gets a better differential, then actually it's if James beats me and gets the same score as Jeff, then Jeff's out. If James beats me and gets the same score at minimum as Shawnee's out. Just because James Myrtle comes before Z Guardian in the alphabet. All right, so would you look at that? Even more interesting playoff race than I thought. These guys are fighting for playoff spot though. Like they know for a fact that whichever one of them loses is definitively not in playoffs. There is no chance. So I hope that they bring one hell of a fight to each other. And finally is you, Anthony, and the Bold Strikers against the Sligo Sandacondas. You have to win this in order to guarantee playoffs, but you can still hit playoffs
To win,
if
right?
you don't have to win, it just ensures it.
Yeah, okay. I don't need that kind of pressure. I don't need that
No.
because this match is hard, and I can't. Yeah, I'm already
Yeah.
stressing over it.
As long as I beat James, you're in playoffs.
Sounds
Guaranteed.
great. So you do that because I feel like that's a little bit easier than me winning this match.
Yes, no offense, James, but I kind of agree with Anthony here.
Yeah, I pulled out the stops for our first week in our first match, but this one's definitely gonna be a lot harder because
Yeah.
I revealed the tricks. The tricks are out of the bag. So
Yeah. I did unfortunately I did the same thing with James week 3 where I pulled out all the stops against him. But I still think I have other things.
you definitely have a better shot than
Yeah,
I do.
because like on paper, Steven just has a better team than James does.
Yeah, it also matches up better against my team, but week
Yeah.
12 is always interesting. It's either like a battle of memes, I hope Alan and Gab like just run meme teams because it's always fun to see it.
Yeah.
But it's either like memes and it doesn't matter, or like everything matters and everything's riding on it. So we're gonna have a lot of interesting battles
Yeah.
coming.
If you had to
Week
pick one game that you think will be your game of the week to watch for week 12, which one do you think it is?
Game of the week. I don't know. I feel like it always has to be the one with the most implications, right?
I suppose it could also be like just the one you're looking like that just is pitting two coaches that you really want to see match up. Although I think objectively, by your definition, it's Jeff versus Shawnee should be the game to pay most attention to.
Yeah, that one, or I'm interested to see Eric versus Deshaun because I think Eric does have a good chance at winning if he plays well.
Yeah,
Um, and it's also interesting to see how that shakes up the playoff standings if Deshaun does end up dropping a seed,
yeah,
seeing the matchups going into playoffs.
yeah. I think I like that we're ending the season with only one game not affecting the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it makes everything a lot more interesting.
It makes it more interesting, and it makes it less like tedious for the coaches. Where like it's like, oh, I gotta just get through this, even though it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
But with all of that said, thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Anthony, for joining me. It was a pleasure having you on. Would love to have you do more of these in the future. Certainly next season. Would love to hopefully get you on for our playoffs coverage for sure.
Of course, I hope to be back. It was a good time.
Yes. Uh, but with all of that, again, I'm Alex filling in for Jeff as your primary recapper. I hope you're all excited for playoffs and stay tuned because we have a lot of interesting playoff content planned for the channel beginning once week 12 ends. So just if you haven't, like, subscribe if you're not like with anyone else, like if you're not like connected to somebody else who's in the league, because we're really trying to like take the presentation to the next level. And I think we have some interesting stuff planned for playoffs for sure.
Yeah, subscribe regardless.
Subscribe regardless,
even
but
if you know people who subscribe regardless.
yeah, subscribe regardless. But look forward to the playoff content as well as the Week 12 recap and the D League stuff. We got a lot to keep people occupied over the next few weeks. But with that said, have a good one. Until next time.